Here we are making chicken divan. So what I've done so far is I've started the quinoa, and you do quinoa just like rice, but to flavor the quinoa this time I'm going to throw in a bouillon cube, just one to give it some flavor. So I'm making so 3 cups of water, 1.5 cups of quinoa, and 1 bouillon cube, and you just make that the same. In this pan here, I've got 2 chicken breasts, but you can use thighs or whatever you've got. And I'm just boiling that until it's done all the way through. It's not quite there, it's almost is. Then over here I have the broccoli, and I've cut the stems off to make it closer to bite-sized pieces. And you can either steam the broccoli on the stove, or you can put it in a bowl and cover it and microwave it till it's tender. Usually, well, all the microwaves are different, so in ours it takes like 4 minutes. So just to put a splash of water in the bottom, put it in the microwave for 4 minutes. So we'll come back after the quinoa is done and the chicken's done and start putting it together.
Stirring.
Until most of the water's evaporated. It starts making a snap, crackle, pops. Okay, so the chicken is done, so I'm going to take the chicken out, but we are going to use the broth in the pan. And just cut the chicken up into bite-sized pieces. No, it's not quite there yet. So when it's white all the way through. Filming me? So I just took the quinoa off, and now I take it and I cover it till all the other stuff is ready, and because the quinoa goes into the pan first. So now the broccoli should be done. If it's tender. Make 1 more minute. The chicken another minute. What we're waiting on here is the quinoa. And the broccoli. We're giving the broccoli 1 more minute. So a total of 5, but our microwave is slow compared to most other microwaves. apron like this is always a nice accessory. Okay, so broccoli's good. Now we have 2.5 tablespoons of butter that we have to melt. This is to make our cheese sauce. So you can melt the butter on the stove, or you can melt it in the microwave, depending on your mood.
How much butter?
2.5 tablespoons of butter. Don't throw away your chicken stock, because we need it. Or cheese. So cut the chicken into bite-sized pieces. For today's chicken divan, we're using Mexican cheese, but any kind of cheddar would do. Now we fluff the quinoa with a fork. So it looks good.
How did you know when to take it off the stove?
It starts to make a sort of a crackly sound. Okay. Let's see if it's, I don't want it chewy inside. So it's perfect. Okay. So quinoa's done. So that's the first thing that we put in the casserole dish. So lay down a layer of quinoa. So it looks like three cups of water, 1.5 of quinoa, 1 bouillon cube is just about right. Is the cheese sauce. So take our melted butter. Okay. And into that melted butter, we put 2 tablespoons of flour, and maybe more. I'll start with 2. Just mix it up. So I like the sauce thicker, so I'm going to go ahead and put 3 tablespoons. Okay. All right. So now this is the only tricky part. Is the cheese sauce. So you put butter in the bottom of the pan, and you have to move pretty quick, and you slowly add the same water you boiled the chicken in, but you whisk it up really fast or else it'll get all lumpy. Okay, so that's just about perfect. And you go until you think you have enough sauce to cover the chicken, the broccoli, and the quinoa. Get the rest of this out of this pan. Grab a cup. So it's starting to thicken up nicely. In there. It's getting thicker. So we put in a couple of shots of Worcester sauce. Maybe more than a couple. Lee and Perrins. sauce looks nice and thick. We add some more. This cheese sauce is good on, if you make too much, it's good on eggs in the morning. Okay, I'm cooking it just to get the flour taste out of it. But you want it the thickness that you want it, so it can be, some people like it thinner. I like it a little thicker than this.
Your heat is on
Medium.
medium.
Heat is on medium. And so this is, I liked it better when it was just a little bit thicker. So very carefully. I'm going to add another tablespoon. So that makes 4 tablespoons now. But if you add it like this, you got to really stir fast or else it'll get all lumpy. Okay. I've got some lumps in there, but you could avoid that if you had put 4 tablespoons in from the beginning.
Or you could put it back and put a little bit of the liquid into your measuring cup, put the flour in there, stir it up.
And pour it in. Okay, so I like the thickness of the sauce now. Now we add the cheese.
How much cheese?
And I usually put in 2 handfuls of cheese. That depends on how big your hand is, but 2 handfuls of cheese. It melts pretty quickly. And just mix it all up thoroughly. And you could add sour cream, but I don't think it really needs it. Okay. Let me turn that off. Go over here. I put the chicken. On top of the quinoa. Like that. It's really pretty easy and it tastes good, and then it's good for lunch. And this is a one, pretty much has everything you need in a meal in one dish.
How much broccoli?
Enough to cover the pan. So it was like 3 bunches of broccoli, and then I cut the stems off. So you could get the florets. So it's probably 2.5, maybe 3 cups. Okay, so that's all together. Then you simply pour the cheese sauce all over the whole thing. Okay, so everything in the casserole is already cooked through, but then you have to get everything to meld together. So what we do is, you're better off if you put it on a sheet. So if you preheat your oven, you want to warm it up for like 30 minutes. But if you don't preheat your oven like I just did, you put it in at 350 for 40 minutes. And I'm looking, I don't want to, I get paprika. Had I put the cayenne pepper on instead of the paprika, that would be bad. So I've got sweet paprika just to make it look pretty. Give it a little red on top. Okay. Now it goes in the oven. We'll take it out in 40 minutes, let it cool a couple, and then we'll eat it. And that's how you make chicken divan. That's it. Okay, that's it. Should be good.